Hey, I need to show you this deal I just did. The home itself was worth over $440,000 and I bought it for $6,500. In this video, I'll show you how I found the deal. I'll show you the comps that justifies the numbers and how we broke this thing down to actually make it happen so you can do the same thing. Let's get into the deal. So this property is off Desert View, all right? It's out here in Goodyear, Arizona. If you guys want to see more of these deal breakdowns, you should definitely be in our school community. I do this all the time and I share this kind of information. So if you want to do more deals like this, then highly encourage you to be there. It's free. Inside of this community, you can see it's a little bit more niche, but check this out. What I'm looking for is a house like ours. We're 4'2", 1,900 square feet. You can see it's going to be a mixed bag. So what I like to do is I go to square footage and I say, let's go 2,200 and let's go 1,500. The first thing that I'm trying to do when I'm evaluating a deal is I first try to establish what is a high watermark. What is this property worth if we fix it up and made it look nice? Some neighborhoods, there's not really that many renovated comps to look at or properties to look at. So I look at, okay, well, a dated house, a non-renovated property is worth this. What is a renovated property worth? If there's nothing to pull from, then I have to kind of make some guesstimations, but we try not to guess too much. So let's look at this. We have a 410 right here. That's literally our model match. Our house is a 4'2", 1,900 square feet. This house is a 4'2", 1,900 square feet. Sold for 410. So let's take a look, see if it was renovated. And it wasn't, right? It's pretty much all the original stuff. Bathrooms are not updated. Bedrooms still have the original carpet. Backyard is nice. It's got a little putting green, but it's no pool. Okay, so that's important. So we have a non-renovated property sold for 410, and we have a renovated house with a pool sold for 565. So like we're somewhere in between, right? We know that 410 is our model match. It backs up to this road, so it is a 565. We don't have a pool, so we have something bigger non-renovated, 525, something like our property, 410. So I'd probably say 410 non-renovated. Renovated would probably get closer to somewhere between these two. Let's do this right here. Let's take our property and let's go back to our flow chart. And let's say non-renovated, our property is worth $410,000. Renovated, I'm going to call our property worth about $490 if we were to do everything really nice in the property. So as you can tell from the photos, the property needs work. Again, ours is a 4'2". You can tell it needs new carpet. May leave the original tile because that's what the other house had. May not rip up all the flooring, but I definitely want to redo that kitchen. The cabinets are fine, but I want to put hard rock countertops in there. I want to paint the whole place, and I want to update both of the bathrooms to have something a little bit newer. And if I clean up the exterior, I'm going to be in a really good place. So I'm budgeting about $5,000 for the kitchen. I'm budgeting carpet and paint about another $6,000, and I'm going to budget about $9,000 to do everything else, the bathrooms and some exterior cleanup. And I think if we could do those things, we're going to be in a really good spot by spending somewhere in the neighborhood of about $20,000 to $25,000 on this project. So how in the world did I buy this house for $6,500? Let's dive into the art of making the deal. And this is how we did it. So this specific individual owed about $235,000 owed against the property. He also owed roughly about $18,500 towards solar panel liens. So I looked at these two things separately. If he sells the property outright, he would need to pay off the $235 and he would need to pay off the $18,500. I don't know about you, but this is still a big margin between what it could be worth non-renovated and what it could be worth renovated. This is still a pretty good property. Now, if I pull up my deal calculator and I input our numbers, and let's just say we're going to sell our property for $440,000. If we want to budget for about 15% profit margin, which is what I kind of do at a price point like this, that means the flipper will make about $66,000 on the flip. The next piece of this is the wholesale fee. So I'm budgeting roughly about a $10,000 to $15,000 wholesale fee. So let's put in $15,000. Okay, so if we say 440 is the ARV on this one, which is after repair value, and we were banking on a $65,000 profit and a $15,000 wholesale fee, what are we going to spend on rehab? I'm budgeting around $25,000 for rehab. The next cost you have to take into account of outside of property costs and the rehab costs is the cost it actually costs to own the property on a monthly basis. So I have to factor in, paying realtor commissions, closing costs, utilities, taxes, insurance, all that good stuff. And this all comes up to be roughly, for my holding time period being 4 months, it ends up being around $51,000 on this deal. which I capture most of this on the back end when I resell the property. Like, I'm not having to pay the $11,000 up front for this one. Luckily, because this is a $25,000 project, I normally budget about $1 a day. So I would be hoping to do this entire project in 2 to 3 weeks maximum. So I want to buy the property, I want to get it back on market as fast as possible. Now, normal calculations is I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going to have to get hard money to purchase this property, and I'm going to hold the property for roughly, call it 4 months. So if that's the case, then I can budget all this in and offer somewhere around $291,000 and still make these numbers work and make 15 grand. So let's go back to the flow chart and see what he actually wanted. So the art of making the deal, I knew that he needed to pay off if he sold it traditionally with, some things that he may want to do and maybe some taxes, insurance, and whatever it may be when he needs to sell the property. He would probably need about $255 to pay everything off and be scot clear. Anything over $255 would go in his pocket. So total balances to be paid at closing, $255. So with his total balance being at $255,000 and he's asking $300,000, he's thinking, okay, well, if I don't have to pay agent commissions and stuff, I'll walk away with about $45,000 minus a few things here and there. Like, that's what he's thinking in his mind's eye. And as a deal maker, you want to think the person that you're negotiating with, what is their dream scenario? What are they hoping to achieve? And if you can work together against a common enemy, which sometimes it's the numbers, like we can only pay so much, we might be able to accomplish both of those things. We might be able to get the property at a price where I'm happy about, and he's able to sell the property at a price where he's happy and get the money that he wants. So after having a couple conversations, it actually came out that he's like, look, I would love to get $300,000, but bare minimum, I got to get $260. Well, pretty obvious why he needs to get $260, because if he gets $260 and someone pays all the closing costs, he'll probably walk away with $5 grand. Now, the other wrinkle to this is he wanted his son to be able to stay in the property for a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks after close, so he could figure out his next steps. So I was like, okay, well, if we're able to make that happen and we're able to put the numbers together and pay that price, can you work with me on how we do it? So if I'm thinking that he's going to walk away with $5 grand, well, in my mind's eye, I know how to put together a subject to deal. What if I put together a deal where I wouldn't have to pay these exorbitant costs of hard money? Like, check it out. If I bought this property at 12% interest with a point up front, number one, at closing, I'm paying $3,300 just for borrowing somebody's money. And then from the time that I buy it, let's say our holding cost is 3 months, because I got to let him stay in the property. I got to fix it up, then put it back on market, and hopefully it sells within a month. Normally I budget for at least 4. But still, my money cost here is $13,200 if I was to go use hard money. But what if I was to take over his underlying mortgage? It's got to be less than $3,300 a month, and it was. So if I was able to take over his debt, so let's go back to the flow chart. If I was able to take this over, mostly this $235, his total mortgage on that $235 was $1,800. And the solar panels, I said, look, I'll just step in your shoes and take over those payments too, knowing that I'm going to pass it off to the end buyer when everything is said and done. So I said, if I could structure this where you walk away with $6,500 and you give me a short period of time where I take over your mortgage payments and I'm responsible for all that, I go on title, it is my responsibility to make these payments. Would you be open to structuring a deal like that? Because number one, it saves me need to go and get hard money, so I don't need to go find somebody who's going to loan on this deal. And number two, it's going to save me about $1,500 every single month. So total, that saves me about $4,500 if we structure it that way. So it's easier and cheaper if we were to do it that way. And lo and behold, he was open to it. So I structured the deal to look like this. Number one, I'm going to take over, or I did take over, mortgage of $235,000 at roughly $1,825 a month. Okay. Now there is an HOA. I think I paid the HOA. It's like $80 a month. And then I take over the solar payments, which is about $180 a month for solar. Somebody's got to pay them. And then give seller $6,500 to walk. And I take it over from there. So if you want to add all this up, when I go and sell this property for $440, I'm going to sell it for $440, and that end buyer is going to assume the solar panels at $18,000. I'm not selling it for $420 and then them take the $18,000 solar panels. So by structuring a little bit more creatively, not only did I save myself a little bit of money every single month, but I also saved the need of having to pay this off in general. I'm only going to have to worry about paying this $235 off when everything is said and done when I sell the property on the back end after we do the work. So if we go back to our calculator here, there's a couple numbers that change. So yes, I have budgeted, you know, $294,000 is what I could pay to make this deal happen. But instead, I basically paid, taking over $235 plus $6,500, it's $241,500. So by structuring the deal a little bit more creatively and putting the seller's needs at the forefront, like realistically, if we're going to do this, what do you need? And he told me exactly what he needed. We were able to structure an even better deal that I could use for the fix and flip. So the deal goes from being worth, you know, $15,000 wholesale to me being able to stay in the deal. And all of a sudden I'm able to wrap in this $15,000 plus this $66,000. That turns out to be $81,000. But now check this out. What is $120,000 here? What does that do to our number? $240,000. So all of a sudden this deal goes from being worth $15,000 if I just wholesaled to where I was able to structure it to stay in the deal to make about $135,000 on it. And that's on the high end if I have to pay all these other costs. So I would probably say the coolest part about it all, I was able to get a partner to come in and fund the whole thing. So they came in and said, yeah, Matt, I would love to see how this is done. So they're lending on the property. In fact, I'm going to do a video with my lender on this one so you guys can see like his mindset with it. And I'll show you guys how to actually raise capital for these types of deals. I found somebody that was willing to give me the renovation cost plus the money I was going to need to give to the seller. And I'm going to pay them $5,500 for letting me borrow their money for a 3-month period. So I didn't even have to use my money. So I structured a deal using the bank's money for financing by taking over someone else's payment. And I got private money to fund the renovations and the closing costs and the cost to the seller to give him his money to walk. So I have technically no money in the deal. And now I'm able to go do this whole project. And on the back end, maybe instead of making $135,000, I'm going to pay off my private money lender and give them $5,500 for interest only. So guys, hopefully this video helps you start thinking about things a little bit differently and the way you could structure deals that would be advantageous for you, advantageous for the seller, and advantageous for potential deal partners to come in and work with you on deals. There's a lot of deals just like this out there. As long as you start looking at deals from maybe a different angle, it's not all X's and O's. It's not all trying to buy a property at 50% on the dollar. It's about structuring win-win scenarios. And sometimes you win bigger than others. But ideally, you're at least making $15,000 every single time you put a deal together. And this can happen like clockwork if you're using the no fluff system. So guys, if you want to see how to put these kind of deals together, you know, I don't have anything to sell you. You can just hop over to the No Fluff Real Estate group with Matt. It's our school community. We do these types of deals with folks in our community all the time. But more importantly, we do these challenges and we do it all live. So there's nothing left to you trying to figure it out. I'd love to do some deals with you. Hopefully you found value from this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.